what's up guys, it's Mike, and we're sitting in a parking lot of a grocery store right now, and in this video, I'm gonna show you how to buy lean proteins to get ripped. When it comes to getting ripped, you gotta make sure the calories that you eat is low enough so this way it gives your body an excuse to burn fat. But protein is probably gonna take up a good majority part of your calories, right? So you gotta make sure you're finding the right protein, because I know a lot of guys that are trying to buy the right proteins, but they end up buying the fatty ones, and then it's so hard to burn fat, right? Because you're eating so much extra calories. So this video, I'm gonna show you how to pick the good ones to buy, and also how much to go and pay for it. Because the last thing you wanna do is to go ahead and get ripped off because you're paying like $8 a pound or something for like chicken breasts, right? When you can buy that thing for like $3 a pound or less. I used to make that mistake before, and you're thinking, man, am I gonna go ahead and buy food, or am I gonna like pay the rent? You know, you don't wanna make that decision, right? When it comes to getting in shape. So there's gonna be little tips and tricks on that, and I'm gonna show it to you now. So let's do it. We're back at my place, did a little grocery shopping. Let's go ahead and break it down. Let's look at the lean meats, which ones to look for, which ones to eat to get lean and ripped. All right, so let's start off. The staple of lean proteins will always be chicken breasts. Breasts, and more breasts, because breasts are good for you. So we have different types of breasts, right? Usually breaks down into two, turkey breasts or chicken breasts. So I didn't buy any turkey breasts because I don't like to eat turkey breasts. All right, so when it comes to chicken breasts, there's three different kinds, okay? There's regular chicken breasts, there are chicken breast tenders, and split breasts. Chicken breast regular is gonna be the most popular, the most easiest one to find. The difference really boils down to price. So tenderloins or tenders and regular chicken breasts are always about the same price, and split breasts are always gonna be cheaper. The reason why you're cheaper, because of two things. Number one, they come with skin, right? So that's a little extra right there. But you can go ahead and peel the skin off and it'll be just as the same as regular breasts. Number two, chicken split breast also has bone in them, right? So even though this is cheaper per pound, you are paying for a little bit of that bone, but not that much. If you debone it and you wait it out, you will still end up spending or saving a lot more money with split breasts. The only thing though is you're gonna have to spend the time to peel out the fat and spend the time to debone it, or you can cook it as is, but you just won't be able to cut through it, right? So those are the only hassles when going with split breasts. Back in high school, I'll be honest with you guys, man, I used to buy a shitload of split breasts. Why? I ain't got the money to go ahead and spend on everything else, because that's the biggest thing, is dollar per pound, right? If you got all the money in the world, you know what? You don't need to be watching this video, man. You just go hire somebody. Hey, cook for me, you know? Cook healthy for me. Watch this guy's videos and just cook for me. You can be done with it. But for everybody else that gotta watch our pocketbooks, we need to make sure that we're spending a good amount of, well, we're spending the least amount of money possible to get the most amount of protein, you know, to fuel our bodies, right? To get in shape. So if you look right here, split breasts, this here is only $1 per pound, right? $1. That is dirt cheap, right? Dirt cheap. So this is 3 pounds and 41 cents. So that means this whole package right here, 3.5 pounds almost, is only $3.41 versus this right here. This is only only 1.47 pounds, and this is $7.31. I mean, look at the difference here. I mean, it's a huge difference. This is 3 times bigger than that. Even so, even though this has some bone and a little bit of fat, it's still a lot bigger. And the difference is really the price per pound. So anytime when you're buying meat, you gotta remember this. This is the most important part of this video. Dollar per pound, okay? How much are you really paying for the meat? I know too many guys that go, man, I bought this meat, it was a really good deal, it was on sale, and I was like, well, how much was it? It was $8, man, for one pack. How much is, well, what does it look like? This much. Well, I don't know what this much is, because a lot of times you can do this is this much and this is this, and you can't tell the difference, okay? You gotta look at the price per pound. So this price per pound here is $4.97 a pound, right? This is $1. You see the difference? This is 5 times more. A lot of people don't think it's a big deal because they don't buy in bulk. But guys, you gotta remember this. Even if you aren't buying in bulk, which you should, but even if you aren't, you're still spending the same amount of money. If you buy in bulk, that means you don't have to buy for a while. If you buy one at a time, you just have to buy more often. When you add up all the amount of money you spend for protein, for example, if you paid more per pound, you just spent more, a lot more. This one here is $3.49 a pound. So it's a little cheaper, right? So generally speaking, for chicken breasts, $2 a pound is excellent. If you pay more than $4, someone's ripping you off. Remember though, that is still based on my area. Okay, I'm in Texas. Another way to get chicken breasts is getting chicken breasts that are pre-seasoned. Easy way, fajitas. I used to buy this stuff like crazy, especially when they go on sale. I'm big on sales, man. But before I buy, I just buy in bulk. Just because you want to find a sale, I just spend as much money as I can to buy the most amount of meat I can. I'm set for like months, literally. Chicken breast right here, fajita meat. This right here costs $2.47 a pound. And it's chicken breasts, right? And just so you can check, if you look at the nutrition label, it's the same like all of these. This one, 3 grams of fat per 4 ounces, okay? So it's really the same. The only difference though is this one is seasoned. That means you don't gotta worry about seasoning. The downfall about pre-seasoned meat, like chicken breast or any other meat, is that you can't control the amount of sodium. So you're gonna be eating a good amount of sodium with something like this, right? And you don't wanna eat that much sodium, okay? Not only does sodium hold water, it's not gonna be the best for your body, especially when you eat a lot of it, okay? But sometimes it's okay. So I would definitely say once in a while, you still wanna stay lean, but you just wanna kind of get a different taste instead of your own type of seasoning. Go with something like this, fajitas or pre-seasoned chicken breasts. Excellent way to go. So with beef, it's a little different than chicken breast because there's a whole bunch of different cuts of beef. Chicken breast, well with chicken, you just have chicken breasts, those are the best. You still have chicken thighs, drumsticks, wings, you know, and all that stuff. All of those are very high in fat and I don't recommend it if you want to get lean. When it comes to beef, there's a lot of different cuts that are lean, right? And the best way to tell really is by looking at the meat and you can see the amount of fat that's in the meat, okay? So I won't have time to go through every single different cut, but generally speaking, this is how you can tell. When you look at a meat, the redder it is and the least amount of white, which is basically fat, the leaner it is. This is beef chuck Texas style ribs. If you look at it, looks very lean because there's not a lot of white in between. If you look at this versus my favorite, ribeye, right? Large amounts of fat on the side and right through the middle. Which one tastes better? Any day. When it comes to getting lean, if you want to keep your calories down, this is probably the way to go. A lot more than ribeye, okay? Sirloin, center cut, look at that piece of meat. Woo! Lean, 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 right? Barely any white in there at all, okay? Same thing with beef top round steak, same thing. We have beef top round steak, again, just a different cut, but you can tell very, very red, right? So even beef inside skirt, I think they use this a lot for fajitas and stuff. You go to Mexican restaurants, they cook this up, slice it up, really good. Even though you see a little bit of fat here on the side, on the top, but I can see the inside and on the side right here, and there's not that much fat and stuff like this. Really, really good. One thing to be careful though is here's something else. Here's pork, for example. Pork sirloin tip, roast. A lot of times what you do is you look at these, you look at the outside, and you're like, man, this is really lean, right? You open it up, layers of fat on the other side. Butchers, they wrap it up like that to make it look good, okay? So sometimes they'll trick you, okay? But generally speaking though, the meat that has the least amount of whiteness means it's a lot leaner, okay? Here's another one that's really good. Pork center cut pork chops. So this is decent, right? It's not gonna be as lean as a chicken breast, but because you see some fat in between there, but there's still some fat on the side. But generally speaking, if you like pork chops, center cut is gonna be leaner than some of the other pork chops that have a lot more fat in between. One more thing, if you like steak, guys, for beef, obviously my favorite is ribeye. New York strip is probably the second best, right? It's a little leaner than ribeye and still has a fat on the side, which you can cut off, but a little bit leaner than ribeye though. I actually bought a whole bunch today because these guys were on sale. Price per pound, $3.97, which is excellent. Ribeye, this one here is $5.47 a pound, which is not too bad. But generally speaking, in my area, Steaks, like New York strips and ribeyes, will run about $7, $8 a pound minimum. So that was a good deal. So I stocked up a little bit. Ground beef. So there's a whole bunch of different types of ground beef. All ground beef is you grab this, you throw it through a grinder, and now it becomes ground beef. But the thing you wanna, well, not ground beef, ground meat. But what you wanna look for though is, this is probably the easiest meat to be able to tell whether it's healthy or not for you, because they will say it right on the package. For example, this one says, we'll start off with the highest one, 80-20. 80% lean, 20% fat. What does that mean? That means this has a high amount of fat. Don't be fooled that there's only 20%, right? This is probably one of the higher ones. The highest ones I've seen is 60-40. 60% lean, 40% of fat. That is like, it's just terrible for you, right? Unless you want to buy straight up fat, then buy that one. But 22 grams of fat per serving, 4-ounce servings, right? This is the 80-20. If you look at something like, let's say, this one here, 85-15. So now it gets a little leaner every single time. 17 grams of fat, right? The protein amount is almost about the same. 21 grams, same. But there's more fat in the first one. 17 grams of fat because this is 85-15. We have a 90-10, 90% lean, 10% fat. Now it drops down to 11 grams of fat. The higher the lean percentage, the lower the fat is and the lower the amount of calories it is. 93-7, right? Now this is getting pretty lean. 8 grams of fat per serving, 170 calories versus that 290. This is probably one of the top ground beefs you can get. 96% lean, 4% fat, okay? Check this one out. This is ground turkey, okay? But I've seen it in beef, same thing. 99-1, 99% lean, 1% fat. Nutrition value on this, 1.5 grams of fat per serving, right? 4-ounce serving. Protein, a little bit more now, 26 grams of protein. Why? Because there's more actual meat than there are fat now, something like this. Super, 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 super lean, even leaner than chicken. A lot of people think you have to eat white meat to get super ripped. Well, no, you can actually eat red meat also. Remember though, with lean meat, ground meats, is the leaner it is, the more you're gonna pay for it. Which is okay because you're getting more meat and less fat, okay? 2 more right here. So we have grass-fed beef and ground bison. Both of these are gonna be a little more pricier because grass-fed, right? Anything that's natural or grass-fed is gonna be a little more pricier, more dollar per pound, especially bison. I think this was something around like $7 or $8 a pound. One other thing, seafood, right? Most all seafoods are very, very lean. No matter if it's fish, shrimp, scallops, lobster, in this case, ahi tunas. And the ones that do have fat, you know, salmons, a lot of salmons have a good amount of fat in those, but fish fats is really good. Any of you that ever take omega-3s, omega-6, those are all fish oils, right? Fish fat. So why do people take fish fat? Well, because it's actually good for you, right? So you can eat all the fish fat you want. It's okay. You're not gonna get fat from it. But fish, seafoods, generally about 90% of all seafoods are gonna be pretty lean for you, right? Those guys in the water just don't gain a lot of fat. It's because they're probably constantly swimming. Nah, that's probably not true. I mean, whales are fat. Personal preference for me is tilapia and shrimp, but pretty much if you like seafood, you can eat almost any type of seafoods and you're not gonna be fat, okay? So that's a really good way to lean up, going with any type of seafoods. Eggs is a really good way, a protein source, because eggs is, you can eat whole eggs, and there is fat in whole eggs, generally about 8 grams of fat, give or take, per egg, but eggs also have good proteins and good fats in them, so it's okay to eat whole eggs. The other 2 options is going with egg beaters or egg whites in the carton. Those are pretty much the same thing. All they do is crack everything, put it into a carton. But this way you can go ahead and not have to spend all the time cracking eggs, because it gets annoying sometimes, or wanting to throw away the yolks in every single egg that you do if you're only eating egg whites. Cottage cheese. A lot of people don't realize, but cottage cheese is really good for protein, right? 4 ounces of cottage cheese has about 12 grams of protein. So you wouldn't be able to go ahead and eat cottage cheese straight up just as your protein source. I wouldn't recommend it, but really good though for snacks. And I bought 3 different ones to show you. We have regular, low fat, and fat free. And there's not a big difference between the 3, right? The regular on the fat intake is 5 grams of fat per 4 ounce compared to, compared to 0, this is the fat-free one, and 1.5. So we have 5 grams, 1.5, and 0 grams of fat per serving. Not that big of a difference. We're looking at 110 calories here The middle one, regular, 90 calories, 80 calories. So really it's just preference on taste, right? The regular one's gonna be a little more creamier, it's gonna taste a little better in my opinion, versus the fat-free one. Excellent snack, good protein source. Just remember guys, anytime when you wanna lean down, you wanna burn belly fat, just remember it's all about your calorie burning versus your calorie eating. If your burning is higher than the amount of calories you eat, you will lean down, you will burn your belly fat and get six-pack abs. If your eating is higher than your calorie burning, then you are gonna gain fat. That's probably the most basic thing to remember. That's why you gotta make sure your workouts are very effective. That's why you gotta make sure you create the afterburn effect so you're constantly burning more calories. So it doesn't matter if you eat a little extra, you always have more burning than eating. But following these rules though of getting lean proteins is gonna make sure that you have the best chances of burning your belly fat because you're trying to keep your calories as low as possible, just in case you didn't burn as much calories as you want to for that day, okay? Just remember, if you're very, very active on certain days, then it's okay sometimes to eat a little extra stuff like going with some of the fattier steaks. But if you're always in front of the computer, if you're just being inactive and you don't have a chance to move around much, keep your calories as low as possible so this way you have the best chances of allowing your body to burn body fat. If you want to learn more about nutrition, you want to learn how to go ahead and prep these meals the right way so you can get super lean and ripped and get six-pack abs, check out sixpackshortcuts.com. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.